Hello everybody, this is Money Mom. Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to sit down and have a talk with you guys, and I told you that maybe once a month, once every other month, I'd sit down and have a chat. This is different than my normal video, but I hope you don't mind. I wanted to talk to you guys today about a discussion that my daughter and I had. We have some wonderful conversations. This was one of my favorites, and I always love to hear how she feels about things. And what we talked about is kind of why we think or feel that more people today struggle with anxiety and depression than, say, when I grew up. First, I'm going to always give a disclaimer. You guys know I am not a medical professional. I don't work in the mental health field. I am just talking about my own personal experiences and the way that I may see things. So each and every person is different and has different experiences, so I am sensitive to everyone. Want to say that first. Now, let me talk to you guys about that discussion that my daughter and I had. You guys know I grew up in the Twin Cities, St. Paul, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I want to tell you kind of how I grew up and how it differs than now, and why I feel more people are feeling more anxious, more depressed, more worried. My big reason why is I feel people have a lot more stress and more pressures on them than ever before. Even before all the things going on in the world. Now, that's just added to it. But even before this, even last year, 2019, more and more people were struggling with depression and anxiety. And let me tell you part of the reason why I feel that is. I will first say that back in the 1970s growing up, most women were stay-at-home moms. All they had to do is concentrate on taking care of the kids. The dads, at least in our neighborhood, many were 3Mers, some were Teamsters, they worked for Hams, a brewery, they worked for Anderson Windows. They all had jobs where they were part of a union, they had good pensions, and they had that same job for years and years. The women stayed home. That was their main focus. So everybody had a job, and there weren't as many pressures where you had to be concerned about losing your job like you would nowadays, where people don't stay at the same job and things are constantly evolving. So people kind of had the security of having those good benefits, decent pay, and you could live off one income. This is from my own personal experience, however. So there was a lot less pressure, and the biggest thing reason why I feel that there are more people that are depressed and feeling anxious nowadays is I don't think that, at least in my own experience, that there's as much of a sense of community as when I grew up. Back when I grew up, and this would be an example, let's say nowadays somebody's worried because their car's not working and they can't really afford to get it fixed. Well, now many of these cars are computerized. Back when I grew up, if your car wasn't working, my dad would come over because he was good at cars, and he'd go over and help Joe the neighbor work on his car, and then you see another neighbor going over there, they get that car working in no time. Everybody would help each other. One time my mother had to go to the hospital, I think it was to get her gallbladder removed. Well, my dad had to work. Guess what? A next door neighbor picked us up from school and took care of us until I got to go home for dinner. I think she fixed our family some meals, helped us with homework. Neighbors helped each other, and it was very reciprocal. Everyone helped one another. If somebody grew out of their clothes, they might give it to a next door neighbor. There was just such a sense of community where nobody felt alone. And I really feel that many people feel anxious or depressed because they feel they're a lone ranger. They don't have somebody that has their back. I'm not sure how you guys feel about that, but I feel very strongly that if there was more of a sense of community where everyone was there to help one another with whatever they could help with, it would really take a lot of pressure off. Also, another example is if somebody was looking for a job back in the 70s, you didn't have to go through a bunch of testing, resumes. Basically, if somebody knew somebody else, you know what, you could get a job by just going in and being nice, and then you may have to fill out an application, but you didn't have to go through everything you did. A lot of it was done word of mouth. So it was just such a more simple time than it is now. One of the things I have been feeling like lately is, I'll be honest with you, I sometimes feel like I've got the pressures of the world on my shoulders, especially with having an older home. Lately, I've been wanting to move to a rural area, kind of live out in the country, and rent a place, not have the upkeep of a home, and downsize and just live a simpler life. Because in so many ways, that would be lovely to have something like that. And I know that many of you may feel the same way. I do know this. On my channel, you guys know that I feel we all together have created what I call a safe zone, where you can come here, be yourself, and get support and encouragement from the other viewers on this channel. I still want that. I want people to be positive, and I want this to be a place of encouragement. And I notice that so many of the comments are so uplifting, and people help each other. Somebody may ask a question. Hey, I'm struggling with this. Where can I find out? Or does anyone have advice on this? You may have people that jump in and give really good sound advice, and then I see people thanking each other. We may not all meet, but I feel we have a sense of community here, and I really want that to continue to thrive, because guess what? Maybe all of us have felt stress, anxiety, depression, and have felt all alone, especially right now when everything is so uncertain right now in our world. But the one thing we all do have is each other. So let's continue to support and encourage each other in the comments. If you have any advice on how, if any of you sometimes do struggle with depression or anxiety, and you have some advice on how we can handle that, or how we can look for support on handling some of this, especially in an uncertain time, what can we do to support each other, and where can we look for that continued support? That's all for now. This is Money Mom signing off, and as always, I love you. Bye-bye.